All right, welcome to the ARTbop show. This is Kingsley Smith, otherwise known as DJ Kingz, on behalf of ARTbop Alternative. We'd like to welcome the infamous Mr. Booga Beazley from Head Like a Hole. Welcome along.
Howdy guys, how are you?
We're good, man. So obviously we've got a gig coming up on the New Year's Eve at the Mount, and I understand this is the first time you guys have played here.
Well, at the Mount, we've played a few times at Mount, but we're first time we've done New Year's Eve, I'd say. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, right.
Yeah, I mean, we've done, Brewers Bar, and, played the Sound Shell many years ago.
Oh, when that was still around.
Yep, remember that one very well, actually. So, we haven't done New Year's Eve for about 5 years.
Right. And you've probably never played in the Total Street venue?
Never, no. It does look a good place,
It's very cool, man. You guys will love it.
Yeah, with good PA, also good stage, lighting set up,
Oh, it's top quality, and you got Ross Schilling, who's spent just so much time and money getting it set up for bands like yourself.
I'm pretty sure I know Ross, eh?
Yeah, you will. He was sort of part of that scene 25 years ago. He's got quite a musical history in New Zealand.
Yeah. I mean, he's Brian Wayfo. Is he the same era as Brian Wayfo?
Yeah. Those guys are good mates.
Yeah.
In fact, Brian's living up here now, as you probably know.
Yeah. Last time I saw him, I hadn't seen him for many years actually. Back when he was hiring out his PA system for us, and that we'd go up and play, I don't know, wherever it was, up in Napier and stuff like that. And then I hadn't seen him for yonks, and the next time I saw him was at his brother's funeral.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't actually realise it was his brother at the time. And then I was looking through some photographs, and I was like, I know that guy, eh? And then there was Brian next to me going, "G'day, Booga, how's it going, man?"
For those of you that are watching the show, Brian was a big part of the New Plymouth Taranaki scene, wasn't he?
Yeah, maybe I got that wrong. New Plymouth and not Napier. I'm pretty sure he's a Napier,
Maybe he's been Napier and New Plymouth. I think he used to have something to do with that whole sticky filth nefarious scene down in New Plymouth.
He was huge. Though huge.
Cool. Anyway, moving along. So we're going to sort of start from the way back in the early days with.
Oh, okay, mate. I'll just have a.
Get us in the mood and the style theme.
Yeah, it wasn't me, mate. It wasn't me. I didn't go fully naked. It was the other guys.
It was Nigel Way.
Yeah, Nigel and Mark, yeah.
Well, they had something to sort of cover their private parts, didn't they, with the old guitars?
Secret weapon, though, you see. I didn't realise that. You had to get guitar, and a lot of the time, obviously he would actually put his guitar to one side and sort of flash it about, and get right up the front of the stage and, give everyone the, frank and beans.
Oh, true.
But I didn't know, like, when we'd go on tour, we had this, someone that would do video work for us, and we'd have a driver and stuff, and sometimes they'd be the same person. And there'd be this woman that came on tour with us, and little did I know that she and Nigel would go into a cubicle backstage. She would perform a sexual act on him, and then he would go and play, and that would therefore he would be in the state of sort of the after arousal.
The euphoria of the.
So he wouldn't have a problem with showing it off, because we'd be like, I've just been having a bit of fun. And then he told me about it, and I was like, you're very sly, very sly.
Very sly. That's got a lot of sort of parallels with the old 80s stadium rock moments where the guys in those supergroups used to go backstage and join the orgy during the guitar solos,
Oh, dude, I long for those days. Like, that's all I listen to is 80s metal, really. I mean, I very rarely listen to anything else. I always go, every day I'll look through my back catalogue and I'll be like, what am I going to listen to in the car today? And I've got such a mean choice, I just I want to get in a time machine and go back to 82 or something, or 81, you know.
Right, yeah, back to when like metal started and
What I'd really like to do even now would be to go to LA and just walk the streets of, drive the same streets that Motley Crue were on, and I was right into Motley Crue and Wasp, and my cousin actually got me into Twisted Sister when he went over to the States, and he was a huge Kiss fan. And he went over to the States and he saw Twisted Sister when they were playing in the Under the Blade days. And he sort of put me onto them. And I think Twisted Sister was probably my first metal band that I was right into.
Right.
Of all bands, Twisted Sister, they're sort of a weird band, they're sort of good, but they're sort of shit, And some of their songs are great, some of them are bad.
I can actually see you getting into that band because I watched that Twisted Sister documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
And they were all about fucking being in your face. Excuse me, you'll have to beep that. And right up in your face and just dangerous,
Yeah, it wasn't so much about their musical prowess, but they just wanted to sort of, like I said, in their face, they wanted to be the biggest, loudest band in the country and sort of offend. Dee Snider has got a really loud, abrasive voice, and on stage, a lot of the time he'd oversing, and when you listen to some of their live recordings, it's like, jeez, but they could play, they could definitely play. There's no doubt about that. And
sure.
They were doing, for an independent, they were doing massive in America.
Absolutely, yeah. It was the end of 1990 that you joined the band. Is that right? For Head Like a Hole?
Yep. I got back from Auckland, and then, me and Nigel said, let's do it, sort of thing.
Right. And then was that about the time that the name Head Like a Hole was penned?
Well, once we had the four members together, Andrew Durno, the bass player, then was like, let's get a group of names together. Let's each put in four names, and we'll pick a name. And there was a lot of sort of three-worded names. There's sort of bands back then like Alcoholic Funny Car or something like that, And there were heaps of shit like that, and I just looked at it all and I said, it's all rubbish. And then we got to one, and it was Head Like a Hole, and that one stood out for me. I mean, but I'd never heard of Nine Inch Nails, and they were just breaking big, basically. And then Andrew Durno, like 6 months after we chose the name, he was like, we should play the song Head Like a Hole. And I was like, what song, Head Like a Hole?
Right.
And he's, by Nine Inch Nails. And when he played it to me, I listened to the whole record and I said, gee, a bit of a whinger, isn't he? Trent Reznor. He's broken-hearted, mate. Too many failed relationships.
He is, man. I have to admit, that's what stopped me becoming a Nine Inch Nails
totally,
fan. Yeah. Because it was just a real downer, eh?
It was a downer. Too much dance is like, oh, dude, another breakup in a relationship. And I wasn't into that sort of music. I was into Mudhoney totally, big time back then.
I can see that influence in Head Like a Hole, for sure.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Faith No More, all that sort of stuff back then. I'd booted metal out. I'd gone through a phase of metal.
Yeah.
And then I look back on that with disgust. I'm like, dude, how can you do that to yourself,
Yeah, because you guys came from a real heavy background. Like I was reading, researching up on Wikipedia today, and I saw that you and Nigel were playing Sabbath and some of that kind of stuff. And when I listen to the music, I definitely hear a bit of Sabbath in there, but I also hear like Mr. Bungle.
I love that Mr. Bungle album, the first one that came out. It was good. But Sabbath, me and Nigel used to drive around in his black and gold Ford Capri in Lower Hutt, all the time just smoking Thai buds, listening to Black Sabbath. Every Black Sabbath record. I mean, that's probably my favourite band of all time, Ozzy. I just love Ozzy.
That's cool, man. I mean, it's definitely one of my favourite bands. And when I look back at you guys, because I'm a similar age to you, so I was in that era in the 90s, and I remember thinking how much you reminded me of Ozzy Osbourne, just with the kind of the whole live performance and the image.
Yeah, that's what Nigel said. You know, like when he actually put a band together with Johnny and Tom from Shehard, and it was called. I think they called themselves Slack Bladder.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And we played the glue pot, and they said you should come and sing. And it was two bass, no guitar, just two bass. Johnny would play bass, Nigel would play bass.
Oh, really?
And they played songs like National Acrobat,
right?
And it was all on bass. And I remember I made a giant crucifix and waded through the crowd at the glue pot with a giant crucifix. And Nigel and Johnny were going, "Make way for Ozzy!" and I sung National Acrobat.
Yeah.
And Nigel used to say, "Dude, you know, heaps like Ozzy go back in the early days."
Early days from the first two albums, eh?
Yeah. And he was like, "You should try start singing like him." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever."
No, you're a great frontman, man. Definitely an asset as a frontman for Head Like a Hole.
Yeah, who would have thought? You know, I couldn't even sing back then when I first started.
Yeah, I read that because you came out of art school or something and you just went straight into Head Like a Hole.
Yeah, well, Nigel used to play in all sorts of covers bands, and I still remember the guys he plays with. You know, one of the guitarists, we used to call him Fingers George, and he used to play like on a red Hamer, and he was like, and he always used to say, when I play a song, my whole thing is it's like a question and an answer. I'll do the question and then I'll answer.
Right.
And, you know, like I used to love watching him play, and I'd go to Nigel's rehearsals and bands that he used to play in. And Nigel used to say, "Oh, I'm getting a bit sick of it. I really want to start an original band, and you should be in the band too." And I'd remind him and go, "Yeah, that'd be good, mate, but I don't play an instrument." And he always used to say, "But you Nigel, your mother was an opera singer, bro. Like, surely you can sing." And I was like, "Nah, never tried it. He said, "You should come along and sing." And I remember I went along, that was my first time doing like a singing audition, and they made me sing Shot in the Dark, you know, Ozzy Osbourne, I was sing. And I was like, "Dudes, I can't sing that." I was just so bad. And I saw my cousin, you know, years and years later. I told him about it, and he was like, "You know, you've never sung for my band." And I was like, "I did do. I came and did an audition." The look on his face is like, "Holy shit, is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah, what? You don't even remember that?" And he's like, "No, I don't. I do now, but I didn't back then." So the next time after that, it was sitting in Nigel's bedroom, and I sang Faith No More, Falling to Pieces.
Right, cool song.
In his bedroom, and I couldn't sing that. And then we went into the rehearsal space, and he said, "Why don't you just sing War Pigs?" And I said, "Oh, that's easy." So we recorded that. We've still got it somewhere, apparently.
And obviously, so that was like your audition for the band, was it? Or?
Yeah, well, I was always going to be in the band. It didn't matter how bad I was. Because it was me and Nigel's idea. We were just getting these other guys along for the ride, you know. Like.
Hi, mate.
Cool, man. Cool. And you guys were pretty young too, eh? Like when you put out the first album, 13, were you only about 20 years old, or?
Yeah, I would have been 20, eh?
Wow.
It really shows.
You mean shows on the album?
On the album, yeah, dude. Next week, on Monday, I'll be, what's today? Today's Tuesday. No, this Thursday, I'll be getting 13 on vinyl delivered to my door.
Oh, nice, man.
I just paid for the customs, you know, the goods and services tax, whatever, well, the shipping, whatever it is. So, and when I had to listen to the dub plate, I can listen to half of it, and the other half I can't listen to. I hit myself. I'm like, oh my god, you know, like some of it I just sound terrible, and the lyrics are extremely bad. So I suppose, but some people like it. Yeah.
It seems to be a fan favourite, you know, and it was like it shows all your influences that you guys had back in the 80s that you kind of amalgamated into that first album.
Yeah, quite eclectic, eh? Some of it's quite funky, some of it's really heavy, some of it's sort of heavy and punky, you know, and a little bit of rap. Some of it's industrial, you know.
Yeah, there's even
Richard Brewmeister.
Yeah, totally, man. It's a cool album. It's you know, I always used to enjoy hearing when I went on to your gigs and hearing Fish Across Face.
Yeah, we still love playing those. Like, they are like staple diet for us, you know. But
cool,
every
man.
time we play.
Well, later on I'm going to ask you, don't answer it now, but later on I'm going to ask you what classic tracks you guys are planning on playing for New Year's Eve. So
Okay, yep.
we'll come back to that. So let me go on here. Your first release before the 13 album was a cassette tape called Shit Noise. That's right, eh?
Yep. Yeah, it's a good title, that one, eh?
Shit Noise, yeah.
Shit Noise.
It's great.
When we did it, it was like, what can we call this? And then Nigel was like, let's just call it Shit Noise.
It's cool, man. It's like it's different, you know. Like back in those days, man, no one would have had the guts to call an album sort of, and a lot of your albums too, you know, like Flick Yourself Off Yourself and those other albums.
That's that saying, flick yourself off yourself. I always thought that was just something we penned, and 20 years later, I was talking to my sister, who's really normal.
Yep.
You know, compared to me. She lives in Eastbourne. She's got a lovely house, lovely lady. She's like, you know, when you feel like, you know, you're really awful and you just want to flick yourself off yourself. And I just looked at her and was like, what did you just say? She just said, you want to flick yourself off yourself. I was like, Jesus, dude. You know, I just couldn't believe it. So, I mean, maybe we didn't coin it, you know. Maybe it's been around. Is that a saying that's been around for ages?
Well, to be honest, like it was the first time I heard it when you guys put that album out, and I've never heard it used anywhere else. So I think you guys almost have you heard of that before,
No, I
Diet?
haven't, no.
I think you guys penned it, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Subconscious. It must have been in my sister's, you know, subconscious. Yeah.
Yeah, well, same for me. Like, you know, that was the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s was a big impact on me. So when that album, when you released that album, I saw it frickin' in, I don't know what it was, in Rip It Up magazine or something.
Yeah.
And I thought, fuck, yeah, that's cool, man. And I was sort of thinking, I know exactly what you guys mean because, you know, I was going through a lot of insecurities at the time and thinking I wish I could just flip myself off myself and be someone else.
That disgusting feeling, you know, you just want to get rid of yourself sometime, eh?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Another beep there. With Shit Noise, is it true that was financed with a bottle of whiskey?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's all it cost was a bottle of whiskey. It was done so quickly. Like the guy that did it, I seem to recall there was a window. It must have been, we're in this part of the warehouse, and it was a really big space that we're all set up in. And then there was a room, a division between the space we were set up in and where the engineer was. And it was a window the size of probably the computer screen, the monitor I'm looking at. So only, you know, a few inches across. And he had like must have been a 4-track or an 8-track next to the window, just going like this. It was that simple.
Wow.
And you hear the hiss of all the, you know, like, shh. There's this huge hiss on the tape and everything. We just went, don't worry about it, mate. Leave it in there.
And there's only 100 copies floating around. Is that right?
We only did a run of 100 copies. That's all we could afford. We had to get Nigel Regan's father to finance it, and he was like, bloody hell, you know, I have to pay for this, and he had to drive us to Upper Hutt to get it or something. Or maybe that was the artwork, or I can't remember where it got done. But yeah, we did another run, you know, like recently we did like a reissue.
Digitized and remastered sort of thing?
No.
No.
We kept it as shitty as possible. When they rang up at Stevens, they were like, dude, it's terrible. It's got a huge hiss on it. And I was like, it's meant to. And they were like, should we just keep it that way? And I was like, yep. And then they said, you do realise that it might have a few bits in it where it jumps, you know, the whole song might play all the way through. And I was like, don't worry about it. It'll be sweet. You know, and it sounds fine. Yeah.
Hey, talking about the whole sort of lo-fi sound, I was listening to your, you know, you sent me up a CD package. I was listening to, going through all the albums today when I was writing out the questions and stuff, and I was listening to the Live on the Raw CD, and I noticed like the studio stuff was awesome on the second CD, but when I put on the live and the raw, it was very raw, eh?
Well, it was done on a cassette. It was straight off a cassette deck.
Like a stereo 2-channel cassette deck.
Just exactly like that, dude. Straight off the disc.
Wow. Well, I mean, you can hear everything.
You can. It gets better. Like 3 or 4 songs in, the engineer, he gets the mix going.
I noticed that. Yeah.
It gets a little bit better, but it starts off like drum and bass and vocals.
Yeah.
Like a lot of gigs do. And then, it is raw. I mean, we had to put it on there just so people had it, like, this is what we were like back then. And some of it's quite good,
Yeah, no, it was really interesting listening to it. It brought back a few memories.
Totally, yeah. Nigel's guitar playing, he's playing like Rod Stewart or something.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Some of the songs he starts playing. Now.
That's the one, yeah.
Got sexy. I didn't remember that, and I was like, dude, that's awesome. You're going to start doing that again,
So that was just spontaneous, was it?
Every time we did 12, there's that bit that sort of mellows out and it's quite funky or whatever. He always used to come up with new stuff, and he'd do disco sort of riffs over the top.
Right. Cool, man.
Yeah, he did it too.
That's out of it. So for you personally, what are I think you've probably already answered this actually, but what are your personal influences as a singer and a frontman?
When I was at boarding school, I was sort of like the token mettler, and I was trying to grow my hair long, and they were chopping it off, and I was making lace-up flies in a pair of jeans and wearing those on the weekend. I'd sew some rags on my jeans, and people were like, Jesus, mate. And I was severely into Motley Crue, and I always used to say that I was going to be a singer of a band one day, and they would laugh at me. And they're like, well, why do you want to do that? And I'm like, dude, they're awesome. Look at them. I was one of those dudes that would, any chance I could, I'd be in the local bookstore looking for a copy of the latest Circus magazine, the metal magazine Circus, and just to catch a glimpse of my heroes, because some issues the Motley Crue would be in there, some issues it would be Wasp, some issues would be Scorpions, and I was into the Scorpions wickedly, and Wasp, but Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil was huge for me. It really had a massive influence on me, and I suppose as far as my singers that influenced me developed as I went, I really liked Mother's Milk, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yes, it's interesting you say that, because I definitely heard in the early stuff some Anthony Kiedis influence and
that's where our sort of stop and start sort of stuff came from, like in our music writing, a lot of stop and starts. Sort of from Mother's Milk. And then sort of when we got into Flick Yourself Off Yourself, obviously Ozzy Osbourne was huge as well for me. Mm-hmm. But as we got into Flick Yourself Off Yourself, I started listening to heaps of Jesus Lizard.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
David Yow was a massive influence on me. I started screwing with the sound of the vocals, and I got to meet him.
Using a megaphone sort of...
the megaphone stuff, and just sort of, like abusing the microphone by putting it, cupping the microphone, and, people would say, dude, it's not very good vocal technique, and I'd be like, stuff you, I don't care. That sort of thing. Yeah.
Cool, man. No, I can see all those influences, because one of the things I was going to say, probably on page 3 of here, but I can remember it, was that you guys, for the New Zealand music scene, for the New Zealand rock scene, were kind of cutting edge. I mean, you were ahead of what everyone else was doing in New Zealand, and that made a huge. That was like a kind of a shockwave for the music scene, and it influenced a lot of bands to follow. I grew up in the Hamilton music scene, and there was a couple of bands up there, including Swamp Goblin. I don't know if you remember them.
Yep.
And they definitely had influences that came from what you guys were doing,
Yeah. When it all happened for us, I remember it was just we were like the new kids on the block, and Gerald Dwyer, was managing She Hard. And when Gerald's interest became more in us, and especially when we got on the Devolve tour by accident, because Johnny Too Good, we rehearsed in the same space next door to each other, and when we left the rehearsal space, they thought we were out the door, and then Johnny let rip sort of like, hey, we were actually talking to him before he left, and he was like, you guys should come on tour with us as a support, and sort of like, ha ha, as if. And when we went out the door, he thought we were gone. We went back into the practice room, and we could hear them going, as if they're going to come on tour with us, mate. They're total shit, and we're like, right, that's it. So we rang up Gerald. Nigel rang up Gerald and told Gerald that we were coming on tour, and Gerald said, I've never heard of you guys, you're not coming on tour, but when are you playing next? And we said, playing, I think, our first show or something at the Empire Warehouse, and he came and had a look. As soon as he saw us, he was like, dude, you're coming on tour. And Johnny, I don't think Johnny was very impressed, like...
Oh, really?
He was not happy about it because it became a competition. That's where it all began. Like, the She Hard, he'd like a whole rivalry.
Right.
And then they started working on their album, their first record, Tune. And I remember they recorded it with Nick Rowan in Wellington. And we actually, when they recorded theirs, I had to listen to it. They weren't happy with it. We quickly went in and recorded ours and released it. And they were believe that we got out ours first. And they were pretty pissed with it. And then we rose to the sort of top.
Right.
And I remember Phil from She Hard saying, we were the cream of the crop. Next thing you know, we're taken over by these other guys. We were pretty hurt, It's quite funny.
Bit of hurtful, competitive rivalry going on there between
It's always been that way, and I don't have much of a relationship with those guys anymore, although I do keep in contact every now and then. But I just saw something actually on YouTube with Johnny saying that we taught them a lesson in Europe. It was on the New Zealand Volume 1 at the Auckland Museum, the new music exhibition.
Oh, yes.
He openly says, he'd like a whole came to Europe, we did a tour with them, they kicked our ass, they taught us a lesson, and they taught us how to be on, how I should, he said, Booga taught me how I should be a front man.
Wow, there you go, man.
I went with them a lot, and I was like, what? Are you serious?
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah, I sort of thought they were nice words,
Yeah, man. And of course you guys were touring with them through Europe, was it?
Yeah, we did like 3 months with them at like 51 dates.
Wicked, man. And was that around the time that that She Had were doing support for Faith No More, or was it sort of?
Like we did 3 weeks touring.
Yep.
Then we had we did like a whole lot of gigs. Then we had 3 weeks off in between tours, and we were living in Berlin in this sort of high-rise, sort of a 5-story apartment, like a dance floor, a rock floor, a pool room. And we're sandwiched in between them all. It was bloody noisy. And the guys from Faith No More were like, She Hard, do you want to come on tour with us again? And I was like, that's not fair. What are we going to do? And then they said, why don't you come on tour? I said, I'll be your light man.
Sweet.
So I went on tour as light man for She Hard. And
I
remember, being shown these huge discs. The lighting tech was like, you ever used one of these before, dude? And I'm like, actually, mate, I just like 4 faders.
Nice and simple.
I just work with 4 faders, dude. White light. I don't go with this flashy shit. Don't touch this end of the disc. So it was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. So you got to go on tour with them even if you weren't playing on stage, yeah.
Yeah, and I did a massive faux pas actually with Puffy and his wife. Like Puffy Borden, his wife has got this really high-pitched voice, like really high-pitched up there. And we're sitting around the table backstage having dinner, and this girl, this woman's talking away in a high-pitched voice, very annoying, and I made a comment about it, and when she left, and he went, yeah, well, that's my wife, and everyone was like, ooh, like, I was like, dude, I was like, sorry, mate, and he's like, that's okay, we all get annoyed by everyone's partners and stuff, and, I need to come on tour for a certain amount of time, and then she's got to go home, but, massive faux pas.
That's happened to the best of us, man, it's, oh, man. Hey, so what would you consider your favourite ever gig and your worst ever gig that you guys have done?
I'll start with worst.
Okay.
This is debatable. It depends who you talk to in the band. Nigel would say one of our worst shows would be in Rotorua when we played a corporate gig for Telecom. They paid really well, but I'd been blacklisted from Telecom 2 weeks earlier.
Oh.
So I wasn't that keen on playing it, and because I had too much to drink halfway through the show, we're playing with the Exponents,
Right.
and halfway through the show, I just lost the plot and saw red. I pulled my pants down and did a full brown eye, not just a moon, but I pulled my cheeks apart and everything, and just started spitting on all the CEOs and all the workers, saying that they're a bunch of cunts. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we can beat that.
A bunch of bleeps, heaps of bleeps, and all of a sudden we were dragged off stage. That was it. It's over. And woke up. It was like one of those scenes out of a movie where I woke up in the dressing room. It was like like where you get changed in a sports. There was no one there. I'd woken up, so I had too much whiskey to drink. I walk out into where we're playing, which is like a big sort of basketball stadium area. And there's just this guy, one light shining down, and he's got a broom, sweeping, whistling. Dark. It's like an American movie.
Right.
Where is everyone, man?
Like the closing scene, from an American movie.
And in the morning, everyone was like, you happy with yourself, Booga? You happy? We're probably going to get paid now. I mean, that's probably one of my favourite shows.
Most memorable.
Yeah, most memorable. And, some Mountain Rock, they were pretty memorable, actually. When Nigel sconed someone with his guitar, took it off and slammed them, with the guitar. That was awesome.
Whoa.
And that was because they were throwing mud at him, and it hit the strings. He couldn't play anymore. And he was like, stop throwing mud at me, mate.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so he targeted the guy that was throwing mud. He took it off and held it by the neck like an axe. He swung, he missed the guy, but he hit the other guy behind him, hit the wrong guy.
Oh, shit.
And years later, this guy contacted Nigel and was like, dude, remember me? You sconed me in the head with your guitar. That was wicked, mate. Thanks a lot. But, there's some of the, one of the worst shows would be in Berlin, actually, when we were kicking Sheehan's ass all over the stage. And then when we got back to Berlin and we were playing, that's where Noise International Records was based in Berlin, the A&R guy, Thomas Riesbeck, who was looking after us, and he's like, hey, man, it's going to be a great night, eh, Booga? He'd like a whole play in Berlin, our hometown. The whole office is coming. It will be a great night. You guys will be crazy, wild, and you play naked. We are really looking forward to it. And so what does he do? He turns up. He's got all these bags of cocaine. He starts laying up rails. And so everyone's, participating, not thinking that it might do a bit of damage later on. And I end up on the merch desk halfway through a show, sort of smashing up all the CDs. And apparently we sounded terrible. I remember we didn't play so well. And after the show, Thomas Riesbeck we were sitting in the stairwell sort of reflecting on the show, and he comes up and he sits down and he goes, guys, that was just incredible. It was incredible. And I was like, really? Really, Thomas? And he's like, yeah, incredible shit. It just sort of the worst show. He's like, out of all the shows, dude, you blew it. And then after that, we went on, did, more shows, and it just got, we played really well. We were really bumming about that. But at the end of the tour, I remember Gerald said, let's have a meeting, with Thomas, and it was Sheehan, and he like, we sat down, and Gerald was like, actually, he like, this is not for you, but you're here anyway, so you might as well have a beer and just chill. This is about Sheehan, and the Noise International were like, hey, we want you to stay on, and we're going to send you to the States, and blah, blah, blah. He'd like, well, that's it, you guys are going home. And I was like, all I said was, well, do we owe any money? And they're like, oh, no, you're sweet. You don't owe money. And I'm like, oh,
Well,
job
that's
done.
something. Yeah.
We're going home. Wicked.
That's far out. That's some crazy shit right there, man.
Dude, like, the crazy thing is that the first day we went on tour, I walked out of the house to see the van we were travelling in.
Yeah.
It wasn't a van. It was a giant tour bus that rock stars travel in.
Oh, really?
With beds. It was painted by the famous painter Hundawasser, like giant lollipops. It was a massive luxury coach that you see, you know, like Wasp and Iron Maiden and all those dudes touring. And I was like, is this for us? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, couldn't believe it. So we're traveling around in luxury thinking we're gods. And we actually changed to another bus when we went to the UK. And the guy that drove us there, he was like, so tell me, dude, what other bands have you toured in this very bus? And he was like, seriously? And I was like, so he goes, oh, Iron Maiden have been in this bus.
Ooh.
I've done Wasp. And I was like, are you serious? This very bus? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, when he did Wasp, he said that every town that Wasp went to, Chris Holmes, the first thing he did was if he didn't have any vodka, he'd be straight to a bottle store. He'd drink like a bottle of vodka for breakfast. Boom, out of the bus, off to a bottle store. That's all he did was drink vodka.
Yeah, completely, absolutely off his face the whole fucking day.
Off his face the whole time.
Beat.
Yeah. So that would be our worst show. But there's been some epic shows on different levels. You know, like
I think 4 or 5 songs before the end, you guys were saying, or you were saying this is probably going to be our last song, dudes. And there was some comments like, shit, in the crowd.
Yes. You hear people swearing, they're upset, eh?
Yeah, and that's
shit.
And that's a compliment for you guys, man. It's, you know, if the crowd wants you to keep going, you know.
I didn't actually I didn't actually take it as much as I should have back then. Like I hear comments like people are like, you know, you used to get really big crowds back then, dudes. You know, you didn't realise how big it got, and then when it sort of got to a peak, I just gave it all away. You know, in 2000, I was like, I've had enough, sort of thing, and there was a reason for it, but you know, how much bigger could it have got? I mean, it wasn't big as in, you know, today's standards. You know, there's some bands that are actually making some serious coin.
Yeah. Like, you mean New Zealand bands or international?
New Zealand bands, yeah. There's, I mean, not playing rock music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking. I mean, am I allowed to say 660?
Yeah, sure.
It's like a dirty word in my household. You know, bands like that, and you know, I mean, the whole, I don't know, that style of music is really making inroads. You know, the average New Zealander just love it. You know, rock music's sort of suffering.
Exactly, man, and it's interesting you say that because that is something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm trying to change in Tauranga, the Mount. As you know, I'm a big promoter for the Tauranga Street venue, which you guys are playing at, and we're trying to basically make turn it around. I mean, it's really bad. It has been really bad for years in Tauranga. The rock music scene, reggae has been ultra popular, and I love that music, and they have some awesome festivals like the One Love Festival, but rock music has always kind of suffered, and it's been like that, like you say, nationwide at the moment, eh?
I can't understand it. Is it because the young people, they don't have the same sort of passion for, is it too far gone from the era of the 80s, you know, metal, that because, you know, like you and me, we're very passionate about that era of music, and it's overflowed all the way through the 90s, all the way through the 2000s, and we'll always love it. But for the people that have been born too late, you know, I just don't think, when I talk to them, some people don't even heard of the bands that I've listened to.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as metal goes or rock, they're not really listening to it. It's just like whatever comes along, one song at a time, you know, that's popular sort of thing, pop music.
Exactly. They get exposed to the wrong stuff, unfortunately. It's whatever's being tuned out on this fucking factory beep of a pop chart, you know. And I reckon the solution is to try and expose them somehow to that. Whether it means, I was talking about this with guys like Chris Young, ex Tadpole, and Craig Bennett from BV Promotions, and we sort of thought, well, maybe we need to go back to basics and get rock bands.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I've been talking to a good friend of mine called Terry McIntosh. He lives in Palmerston North. He's a full-on metalhead. He loves it. He's been doing radio for years. He does a radio show up in Palmy, a metal show. He gets a lot of correspondence from overseas. He gets bands from Nuclear Blast. They send over albums. He reviews them. I think that when we put shows on, and perhaps we don't get numbers like we used to, especially in Wellington, I just don't get it, mate. It's a main city. You can struggle to get 200 people there, where you used to get 500 or whatever.
It's the same in Auckland as well. I've noticed. In fact, you guys are probably slightly better than Auckland. Auckland's really suffered, man. As you know, the King's Arms is closing down in Auckland. So after the King's Arms closed down, all they've got is the Ding Dong Lounge, which
what about Galatos?
Galatos.
Is that too big? Galatos is the hall off K Road.
Possibly too big for some venues.
For some bands it would be, because you just want to do like maybe 150, 200 people.
Yeah, it'd be good for you guys, you know.
Maybe. In Wellington, we're just playing Valhalla now.
Right.
After we did that show, I saw them in Levin, and I pulled up next to them and I was like, dudes, Devil Skin, yeah! So they just gave me this look of, who are you assholes? Piss off, mate. And they always didn't remember me, and I was like, oh, whatever. And, the table's turned, they've got a manager that's obviously pushed the right buttons.
James
he rubbed the right shoulders, and Nigel Regan, our guitarist, said to me a few years ago, look, I really want James Southgate to represent us. And I was like, the same guy that represented the Feelers and Devilskin and I Am Giant and someone else. And I was like, yeah, that's cool, mate. He might do good things for us, but how do you feel about being on the same in the same playing field as those bands? I said, do we want to be associated with that? I mean, we've always prided ourselves on being a little bit sort of, underground, I suppose. And it could affect us,
And that's cool. I mean, I still get, after all these years, I still get the fact that you guys are down to earth with that kind of underground thing. And that's what the fans relate to. That's what I relate to. And it's nothing against what any of those other commercial bands are doing. Like, if I can just say for the record, but Devilskin are doing a great job, and good on you, Paul Martin. Love it.
They're making money. They're living the dream in New Zealand, and Paul Martin has been playing for years.
Yes, man.
He's 10 different bands.
I used to play in my band, in Nightshade, back in the early days. Yeah. Yeah,
totally. So he's a seasoned, good musician, and he's been plodding at it for years, and he's due recognition, and
he is.
Makes the point,
I mean, the Axe Attack, he has done massive things for the metal, as you know, for the metal scene in New Zealand through the Axe Attack. Big respect for him for what he's done. I agree, man. He deserves it. But getting back to Head Like a Hole, it's cool that you guys recognise that underground kind of thing,
Yeah, well, we're more so these days because, when we released Blood Will Out and also Narco Credo, we went with various promoters and agents, and they booked tours for us. And, one agent in particular, total penis, he did good things for us, but, no respect for anyone. And then we went with Equals Entertainment, and I love Equals Entertainment. They're great. And they've always done good things for us, but I just realised that the band is always suffering and not being paid anywhere near as much as what everyone else is. It's being hired to get it over the line. So, and also, I just thought, right, I think we're going to go alone on our own, and even to the point where when we play shows, the guitarist Andrew Ashton and myself will do the door every night.
Yeah. That's...
And when people turn up, they're like, "What are you doing?" You know, I'm doing the door.
Just to save money,
Yeah, well, what are you doing the door for? And I'm like, well, it's to save money. I'm not going to tell you guys that, but I love meeting all the people that come and to see us. And the look on their face, you know, they're like, they love it. They're like, dude, you're actually on the door, shaking my hand.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to see you play in a little while. It's awesome. They don't want to leave the door, you know.
That is very cool, man. You know. So have you kind of adopted that now? As like a thing?
I've just adopted it over the last couple of years, the last few shows, and then we went to Melbourne not so long ago, just to sort of get back to the old days and try and rekindle some of that, you know, camaraderie.
How did that go, man? Did you get
good? It was wicked. It was a really great show. The band played really well, you know.
Was that in Melbourne?
Yep. Yeah, we want to go back for sure, you know.
Maybe your second tour, if you line it up so you're supporting or co-headlining with another band over there.
That's what I said, you know, to Nigel and the rest of the guys. I said maybe we need to get on a support or something because when we went there in the 90s, they seemed to forget that we were signed to a record company. And they were actually doing work for us. Like, we didn't have to do anything. We just went to fly there. They had all behind the scenes was rolling along. You know, we had transport. We had people driving us everywhere, taking us to shows. You know, we had all these interviews lined up. You know, it was like we were actually a real signed act. You know,
yeah, man. Yeah. Well, you literally were anyway. You know, you were signed to Wildside Records, wasn't it?
Yeah, Wildside Records. Yeah, I mean, now all these years later, the truth comes out about Wallflowers Records. They did good things for us, but I'd say there is a few 100,000 missing somewhere.
There's been quite a lot in the news lately about managers who have ripped off
Avalanche City. I feel sorry for that dude, eh? That's shocking.
This is not cool, eh? You know, musicians do a really hard, they put the heart and the soul into it, and to be ripped off at the end of the day is the ultimate sin, you know?
Yeah, it's like, you know, someone's just kicking it in the balls for a laugh, you know, and they're making good money anyway, probably from it, you know, a lot of promoters do.
And I bet those promoters, those sort of the guys, same as the ones who ripped off Billy Joel, and the list goes on and on and on in the history. Those promoters will have not a musical freaking bone in their body, because they can't relate to the musicians. Therefore, they're kind of immune to their pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they just walk away from it, mate. When they finally get, you know, found out, it's like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. Pathological almost, you know.
Yeah.
But that's so cool for a band like yourselves that was so alternative rock to actually make it to number 9 in the New Zealand mainstream charts. But the question
is that riff down and down, that's that riff, eh?
Oh, really? Yeah. It had a lot of stops and starts in it, which I loved because I loved Mr. Bungle and I loved Faith No More and those alternative kind of new wave hard rock bands.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. But when you guys went to release the video, there's an interesting story there. It was pulled off the air. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, yeah, part of it, there's a bit where Nigel dribbles orange juice from his mouth into my mouth. So it's like a nice stream, you know.
Right.
He's hovering above my face and I open my mouth and it goes straight into my mouth. And at the time there was a bit of like a, what was it called? Meningitis scare?
Right.
Or hepatitis.
So it wasn't a homophobia thing, it was meningitis.
No, it was just this old lady, a little old lady wrote a letter in.
Oh, really?
Saying, I take offence, you know, with these boys doing it, and they took it seriously, and it got pulled because of that little old lady.
There you go, folks. That's New Zealand. One little old lady, you know, pulling
it's
the whole...
It's like the PMRC. The Washington Wives.
Hey, man, it's just a bit over an hour if you want to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yep, we've got about 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20-ish.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
Just checking with my producer there at the time.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Let's just move on to the latest album. We might as well skip all the other albums. The latest album, Narco Corridor, which I got a copy here, and I'll just hold that up to the camera.
Yeah.
Now, and you can see that there. You sent that to me about a year ago, I think it was, for my show, NZ Hard Rock Show, and I love it, man. I love the sound that you guys have got. It's kind of like after you. I know you put out another album, Blood.
Will Out.
Blood Will Out before.
Yep.
I missed that one. It came out in 2011. But this is like a good carry on from that album, and it shows how you guys have matured over the years, and from the 10-year hiatus that you had.
That's good.
You know.
Yeah. And on Credence, I took the drums from a rehearsal that we had, and we just got a program where we could take everything else out and just have the kick and the snare, and it was just a one mic hanging in the centre of the room, and that's how we got the drum sound. And I love the drum sound on Credence. It's really John Bonham styles, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And so those first two songs are way different from the rest of the album, because then the rest of the album is recorded at York Street and Roundhead. You can hear the York Street drums, and you can hear the Roundhead. The York Street are the ones that are quite fat, you know, and the Roundhead ones are quite trashy.
So you must have been one of the last albums to record there, like
York Street.
Yeah.
But we were the last album to record there. But Devilskin also say they take honours for the last band to record something there. I don't know what. And also Shehad say they were the last band to play there.
There's that rivalry again, because I remember that. Yeah, she had sort of.
On their little documentary thing. Yeah. They say the last band. I've only got 10 more minutes. Yeah, I've only got they were the last band to record there, but they weren't. They were the last band to play there on the Hughes Sunday sessions. I mean, apparently after the last day we recorded there officially, Devilskin went in after us when it was closed.
Oh, really? So wow.
Well, that's what I hear anyway.
Well, that's interesting. So now there's 3 bands claiming they're the last. And that's kind of cool. That creates a whole mythology that will carry on through New Zealand history. I love it.
Great studio. I think it's good that Tom Larkham took the Neve to Melbourne.
Yeah, actually, talking about Tom, he's doing some great things these days.
Dude, mate, he's an epic engineer. No.
Yeah. Anyway, we're running out of time, so I'll carry on. With Narco Corridor, let me see. My personal favourites from the album are the songs The Great War, Rotten, The Art of War, More, which is spelled M-A-W, and The Rise and Fall of the Sun. So what would your favourites be from there?
Yeah, Great War for me was a bit of a surprise, because Nigel sent it to me. It's almost entirely the same as when he did the demo at home. He sent it to me, and then I just got a new M-Box at home, and I was just fiddling with vocals. I must have put on 15 different effects on the vocals.
Oh, that's right.
And I just pushed play on the song, and I hadn't heard it before, and I just ripped that vocal track out and sent it to him, and he was like, "Dude, that's epic! Where'd you come up with that?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just doing it's like a test run, dude. I'll do a better one." He was like, "Nah, that's it. That's the vocal track." I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
Because I tried to redo it at York Street, and I didn't like it, so I just said to Andrew Buckton, "I'm going with the original track."
Well, it sounds great, man. I mean, I couldn't fault it, I can't fault really any of the tracks on that.
I like Rotten. There's a couple that, I reckon that album would have been perfect if we took 2 tracks off it. It's something that we always fall into that trap head like a hole, and a lot of other bands do as well, is that you always think because you've written it, it's always good. But for me, I always say that's not the case. Just because you've written it, it's not good. You've got to be brutal. You've got to think, is it epic? If it's not epic, don't have it on the record. But you're one person in the band.
So if I can ask, what would be the 2 tracks you would take off? If you're okay saying that to the fans.
On Blood Will Out, the final track on Blood Will Out was called In Articulo Mortis, which is like this little ditty with no vocals. It's just an instrumental.
Oh, right, yep.
On Narco Corrido, we did Sunrise. I really like Sunrise.
Yeah, you're saying.
And I like the vocal on it. It's another one I did straight off the cuff at home that Nigel said we've got to have on the record, right? But we didn't really need it on the record. It's either that or something like 7,000 Days, maybe. I mean, I like them all. You know, it's just one of those things, like maybe it's not in the right order. I spend a lot of time thinking about the track listing. And that's a hard thing, with bands trying to get track listing right and trying to get a good, start to finish.
That is true. I think you started off really well with The Great Wall. That is a
totally
very cool.
Yeah.
It's like an anthemic kind of song, you know, like an anthem.
Yeah, I think it starts off well. The first 4 songs rocking along, and it gets a little bit muddy, and then it sort of rounds off a bit, you know.
Yeah, and absolutely, man. It's you definitely have your raw kind of underground head like a whole sound still there, but it's produced better. I don't know who was your engineer or producer for
Andrew
that.
Buckton did that, and also Joel Mulholland did the tracking. Like Andrew recorded it, and then Joel Mulholland did the tracking, and I did all. Unfortunately, I would have liked to revisit some of the vocals. I did all the vocals in 2 days.
Oh, that's quite fast, eh?
Yeah, I did 6 songs each day, and I was quite raw by the end of it. But I still got it done. But there's a few things I would have liked to revisit. But I suppose that's why you do another record, eh?
Hey, I've got an interesting question to ask, and I know this is going to be kind of controversial, so you don't have to answer it, but you were telling me when you first approached me about having airplay on my show, you were saying that the Rock FM, am I allowed to say this?
You go, mate.
Yeah, the Rock FM didn't want to play your songs. Was that your from the new album or from the
Narco Corrido? Yeah.
And why is that?
Well, I can't remember who I spoke to. I gave them The Great Wall. I gave them Credence. I gave them 7,000 Days.
Oh, okay, yeah, probably
and
not
they
the
also
best choice.
said there's no hook in any of them.
Yeah, that man, you should have given them Rotten or War.
Actually, I did give them Rotten as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Rotten was the final book. I said, well, we'll go with Rotten. Don't want Rotten. We'll go with 7,000 Days. Doesn't have a hook.
Really?
And I just gave up after that.
Okay, yeah.
I can understand why they didn't want to play it, because when you listen to The Rock, do they play New She Hard? No.
They don't even play New She Hard off their...
Do they play She Hard on the hour every hour? Yes. Is it new? No. It's Home Again. It's You Again. It's She Hard Again on the hour every hour.
And the other thing about The Rock, and I don't mind being open about this, is that they have changed a lot in the last few years, and they are not. They're not playing unsigned bands anymore.
No. They have definitely changed a lot, and I think it's just because I think possibly, with Spotify and all that, perhaps they're a little bit threatened.
They might even be threatened by my show. Independent.
Totally.
I'm sure they are. I don't care if they're hearing this. It's a compliment, actually. I've had several people in the industry have given. I'm not going to say who they are, but have almost threatened me because of.
Come on, you're doing good work. I think that someone's going through a midlife crisis and they're reaching for their records, their vinyl, and when you've got In Excess and Jimmy Barnes and what's that song? The band The Wallflowers. When you listen to music like that and you have a vinyl collection that consists of music like that, it's not a good idea to play it on a radio show. Because you've got to be playing stuff which is relevant. And maybe they went that way because they think, it's nostalgic. We're trying to get an older audience because the younger audience are going for, you just one-off songs that you buy on the internet, It's not radio music. I mean, in saying that, The Rock have done great things for us in the past.
They have.
They're still open to listen to my opinions. They're still open for me to do interviews on The Rock, and I also pay them lots of money to promote Headlock Hole. So we have a relationship going.
Yeah.
So I'm not dissing them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, they've changed for a reason. Who knows why? But yeah, it'd be good if... I've got a couple of new tracks that I've been working on, and they're keen to hear them.
That's cool, man. I mean, good on them for that. Good on you guys, because Headlock Hole, you guys are absolute legends, and what you're doing now with Narco Corrido is fantastic stuff, man. I mean that genuinely. Hey, but been given the sign by the... We'll just wrap it up. One more...
Sign?
The sign! One... let's finish up by talking about the New Year's Eve gig. Tell us a bit about the New Year's Eve gig, man, at the Mount.
Okay, well, obviously we're all looking forward to this because we haven't played in 5 years, a New Year's Eve show. And what we will be putting on offer is going to be a selection of all of the albums. And we're going to play stuff from Shit Noise, from 13 all the way through to Narco Corrido.
Awesome stuff, man.
We're going to play all the classic favourites. It's New Year's Eve, and I think people will want to hear Fish Cross Face, and they'll want to hear Hoot Nanny, and they'll want to hear I'm on Fire. But we're going to throw in a few that they haven't heard for a long time.
From a long time, right?
Your stuff will Flick Yourself. We used to play £1, £2 a lot, stuff like that. We're going to play shit like that. We want to cover all the bases.
Will you guys be doing a Crying Shame, or is that a bit hard to do with the trumpet?
We can do it without the trumpet player, actually.
Oh, you can?
We've got a sample machine that we can play the trumpet player. We have had guest trumpet players come in and play. Some of them have been great, some of them have been terrible.
Oh, no.
I've almost kicked them out. I've kicked a few out of rehearsal, mate.
Serious, man?
Yeah, they're like, am I doing it? And I'm like, no way, mate, you're shit, get out. And so,
what about Cornbag? Guys have got to do that.
Always.
Awesome. Love that song, man. And even Keith off that album was
Keith?
Pretty good song.
We played Keith for ages, dude.
No worries.
As a band, we're doing our back catalogue now, and every time we get together, we play two new songs.
Oh, okay.
We are doing something off 13 that we haven't played for a long time. We're going to do Peanut.
Nice.
Now, that's a very long song. Yeah, we're not going to do all of the ones off 13 because we're going to do a 13 tour in promotion of the album finals the next year. So,
really?
We're going to do a 13 tour. I'm just going to convince Nigel to play naked.
Well, you have to come. You have to come back to Toto Street in the Mount, man.
Totally. We're going to try to do 13 dates for 13.
That's cool.
And also, I'm going to try and get a beer done by Rocky Knob. The boys at Rocky Knob, they're going to do a beer called Comfortably Shagged for the tour.
Nice. Nice. There won't be. You won't have that in time for New Year's Eve, though, will you?
Nah, but or even I thought for the 13 tour, maybe we could do a beer that's a 13 beer, and instead of just a mess with the packaging, messing with that, we could do 13 beers instead of 12. And the 13th beer could be the handle,
It could be like lying across horizontally. Yeah,
like little plastic rings. That's the 13th beer, bro. It's the handles. You get 13 like a baker's dozen.
That's awesome. That is really cool. Hey, man, been great talking to you, and really looking forward to the New Year's Eve gig. We've got some great bands opening for you guys. Obviously, a couple of local bands.
Yeah, totally. Wicked, yeah. Okay.
So thank you very much, mate, and I'll see you on the 31st and at the Mount.
Yep, I'll be on the door.
You'll be on the door.
I'll be on the door, mate. Okay.
Thank you very much for tuning into the ARTbop show. This was Kingsley Smith, otherwise known as DJ Kingz, on behalf of the ARTbop show, and it was my great privilege to be interviewing the mighty, infamous Booga Beazley from Head Like a Hole, who are playing New Year's Eve. That's coming up in 2 weeks' time, or maybe 1 week, whenever you catch this show on ARTbop. It's New Year's Eve, Mount Maunganui, Toto Street. $40 on the door. You can get tickets on Event Finder. Make sure you're there, and you will get to meet Booga Beazley on the door.